Danga Doja Jajarazon, Jinjamada, Duja Ponjamba, Surja Lamba, Davarajivaka, Shajajabeja Donjo, Guzanza, Dorjan Janja, Delo Narota, Mapa Mala, Chije Gampopa. Pamodaba Javan Drugongba Gajula Mananja Dajo Donan Zara Tamjada Lama Labala Jizazon Lawson and Jamzong Alaw Dindra Donjan Bagala Zo Jenjin Zaba Lama Jija Kozon Doja Zolanda Daga Julan Beta Daga Timba Danson Jenja Don Jajin Bondaba Shinja Lauda Zo 다 따라 주바들와 주바데 칼라 중세지 휴바이나 다 돈 담바랑 이미바 존드 나랑 저거 군접당 돈담니 예와 체네 드나 난그 요로와 군접지 값서 되니 다인이 요바 되니 군접지 값서 대화다 동안이 요바 되니 대답을 요래 되니 이나 돈 담라 되니 취탐제 난카다브 로냠바 된다 차도 요바리스
So continuing with the 10th of these things that should be known, with the 10th, then first you have to kind of make a distinction between the relative truth and the ultimate truth. So the relative truth is the realm within the duality of self and other exist, or within which the duality of self and other exists, within which the duality of happiness and suffering is present or is experienced. And then with the ultimate truth, everything, all phenomena is like space. All phenomena is of one taste.
Yinayanda Kunjob Lamatina na Tundan Dimbalaya de Toya Kalekapore Penangaran so Kangba deke Tokalan Rogokuyuna Tene Ke Latin Rogorwa Tina Yinke Tundan Dimba Tobar Sibala Kunjob ke Jumde Malapa Yemba Teni Gewa Drumna Deva Yemba Dunga Drumna Mardikpa Drumna Dunga Yemba Tela Soba ke Teni Kunjob te Kapsu Ngaransoka Panja Lanja Chama Kunjob Kasujine take a mayor te Teni Ta Tundan Dimbake Nelo Topar Savicitoris Te Insa Kunjob Dimba the Tundan Dimbani Bote 다 가래라고를 자직이나 자득의 쇼파 자직의 쇼파 니거려 대답을 차도 요리시
However, it is in dependence upon the relative, or it is through the means of the relative truth that the ultimate truth is realized. So, for instance, if you wish to go to onto a roof, or to the top floor of a house, you have to use a staircase or a ladder. So in the same way, since the relative truth functions based on the infallibility or according to the infallibility of karma cause and effect, then it is through the skillful means of practicing virtue, which leads to happiness, and abandoning non-virtue, which leads to suffering, through skillfully adopting that which is to be adopted or practiced and avoiding that which is to be abandoned, all with the objective of realizing the true nature of the ultimate truth. And so both are needed. The relative truth and the ultimate truth are like the two wings of a single bird.
好的，等你打，这个打，第二你打，这个西边这边去觉得些什么意思？第研究了。
So these are, and I apologize, I think in the beginning when we first started, I think we were referring to them as the things not to be abandoned. But in any case, what we have been on since we started was the category of the things that are to be known. And so this then completes this category of the things to be known with this 10th point or this 10th thing.
他对我的娘子让我去教，他这个当波的了，去个人兄呢，没去接确实没就把人去因娘子让上。当然这去个了小，他去娘里去不搞说，等你他做起去的，他当不去呢，你让这一定个大错当，他这个这把这枪马英吧，但他忙不用个了吧，别人一定这个说这当年的top 国사 Japan就忙不过的完了，这里去个说他的说你才这做个了，这多把穷了，超西把是得了，做把个头呢，娘子领个的，等你做的，去的吞把自己的感觉的吧，感觉个意思。
So then, moving on to the category of the 10 things that are to be practiced. So the first one says, after having entered the gate of Dharma, or the door of Dharma, do not indulge in worldly life, but practice in accordance with the Dharma. So once we have entered the path of Dharma practice, then from that point on, we are practitioners. Our focus, our priority and main focus should be practicing, should be the practice, it should be the Dharma. This is what is most important. And the worldly endeavors, really the objectives of worldly endeavors really differ quite a lot from the objectives of Dharma. So, for instance, in order to be what is needed to be sort of successful in the world differs greatly from what is needed to be successful in Dharma practice. So, for instance, in a worldly sense, we, generally one is regarded as successful when one has wealth and power and recognition and so on and so forth. Whereas in the Dharma, it is what is considered to be successful Dharma practice is, for instance, diminishing one's desires in such a way that one is content with whatever one has.
这当几天个大娃呢，几天养大个大娃，去的吞把忙不有嘞，几天个大娃参嘛去的门吞把等着吃有嘛嘞，因那样，但几天那边的这说了就办就这个就有把因那样，就说，说让个双脚节呢，年的完了当， tanda ji tatsur tanda ji yongko yore yanko chuku ton samno tamayina teda tamche teni sosok sunam sabu joran joryak chito teni ya kuncholan chuba teni mangin sona jimba tang wala suba tanda yorwa o te tabe ton nyamslin ya tang teni yang chi jedang da chu rupa nyamlin chi du yang soso ne wimba la teni tsamdan rupa nyamlin chi ala soba yorwa o ta te tang tela soba teni yang tsa chimbo tsene nyamlin nangore ma toke teni yang ko njikting ke tachor tang tu ne ta chik do te jeba ina yang kapka su chu namda dan roya kale kapo yoris.
So it isn't the case that the worldly that the view of the views that are connected with the world, or that the worldly ways are always in opposition to Dharma or contrary to the Dharma, but often it is the case that the way in which these things are related to differs greatly with regard to the worldly sense and then in the context of spiritual practice or dharma. So for instance, wealth and abundance or possessions, so an abundance of wealth and possessions, from a worldly perspective, generally it is thought, that one is supposed to enjoy one's abundance of wealth and possessions for oneself, or to save it, to hang on to it, and cause it to increase, so to keep it for oneself. But in the Dharma, when there's an abundance of wealth and possessions, they are to be used to generate merit. So the best thing that one can do with wealth and abundance is to make offerings to the exalted objects of the three jewels, and to practice generosity by giving to those who are in need, or by giving down to sentient beings. And generally speaking, to practice Dharma, it is best to resort to secluded places. So as a Dharma practitioner, one tends to keep to oneself, or one really delights in solitude. And finds it to be really conducive to nurturing one's Dharma practice. So as a Dharma practitioner, we regard solitude and isolation as very precious. But in the worldly sense, generally, it is thought of in the opposite way.
Alright, kantar soso la lunga yisong ke jawa kan yin jang jancho seng ke zi seng song na teni chu yin yang su lang song wa cha de yorwa.
However, whatever activities that one engages in with our body, speech, and mind, if those activities are united with a mind state of bodhicitta, then whatever the activities, they are in accord with, or they become harmonious with Dharma. They become Dharma activities.
Teni ta jancho samdan dar indu teni zo chikyu de ta jancho samde la kunzup jancho ke samtoni lo jang ne teni tondam jancho ke samlan jogo yo paris.
And it is through developing, or mainly developing the ability to generate the relative bodhicitta, holding the relative bodhicitta as most important or most precious and training in that, it is through that then one develops the ultimate bodhicitta, or ultimate bodhicitta is eventually developed.
So kunzup lawyate ngaran so lo jansa ke yata cha de yore kunzup ka kapso lo de jondar te pine ta lo jang du nani ta tondan de ba yanda ka tawa ta so kunzup le tin to ko yorwa tondan de ba hi ba de tawan thar to ba yang ta ba ri te ngaran so kunzup le matina teni tondam te tawa yanda yin yang teni ngaran so ke de lamsang to ko yo maris.
And so it is through training with the relative, or in the relative sense, with the relative as the basis, that then one is able to develop the ultimate, or one is able to realize the completely perfected view. But one has to utilize the relative, or it is through training in the relative that then this ultimate perfected view becomes accessible. If we don't rely on the relative, even if there's some recognition of ultimate truth, it does not remain stable. We can't recognize, we become capable of developing a realization of the ultimate truth without relying upon the relative.
Teni da ni ba de fire pang ne mayor de yem mendeng war chami de nyamsa lang so. Tang ara zo chu nyamsa lin du jetang so so ga fire de la de ne chu nyamsa lang ba ina. So so rani je la pena chadang si sa ke dan ra wo tang tena gel la che min yang so so ga nam da pinchi la so ba la yu ba la tin ne teni chadang la so ba mambo ji se ke ji mambo je yu ba yin zang teni chu du de che tang da fire tang ta ren zam la chu du ba yin na ya bo yu ri so ne la lin so de na song yu ra fire pangwa jersey la lin yin song do tena yin zang ta chi te kar chen bo de yin yang da so so chu drup sa ke da ne win ba la so pa la hyok char du yang da so la che mixa ke che chen di don de teni da le ka mang bo le de ba ina teni yang koran yin ke teni yang cha pa de hin ba ke joran jon ro ke du teni kang tar yang chami himi de nyam sleng go che kar chen bo ri so.
So then the second of these things to be practiced is, after giving up your native land, do not settle yourself permanently elsewhere. Practice without attachment. So when one is really committed to practice, or the advice for Dharma practice is to abandon one's homeland, because generally it generates a great deal of attachment and aversion, and even if one doesn't, there those who are regarded as friends, like and loved ones with a great attachment, and then those regarded as enemies. And even if one doesn't have so many enemies, one's family might have them, one's friends and relatives. And so there are a lot of conditions in, generally speaking, in one's homeland, one's home one's homeland, that can really fuel a mind of attachment and aversion. So in the 37 Bodhisattva practices, for instance, it says abandoning one's homeland is the Bodhisattva's practice. However, if one has abandoned one's homeland, and then one resorts to, secluded places where one can practice in solitude. But then if one finds that one is getting caught up in a lot of activities that are actually for the limited benefit of this life, or if one starts to develop attachments, then it is important to do what is necessary to avoid fostering attachment wherever one is, to limit the causes of generating attachments.
Tanda jertang ke sosorang ke karela go nyamnyong de lamnare tena te nguyu ne chondro cha dimba cha de yori kaisna penang ngarang ni ma phai la yo bakap so ta nga chu nang de gumpa ke ramla yorwa sonja teni nang ni ya je ma la songa ina ya de gumpa la ya pe khan ro ji phine dompan dongro la kore ten de jetang tikap sanga pu chung chung ro de ina semra ji hi ge yoro de semla de samade wan ro chan do hina da pai ne da ka tan lo mang bo shu chin za de da koran so ya so chang ge yo da mi da de so nge che ha ko ma ra ter te ne da da de sa ke ya da de na ko la semra hi ra ni ma ri kin so wa da semra hi ra ang khu ma da wa koran yin ke de tanda che nga ma yin ba ma chama la tanda yo jiri ma ma bo la tanda yo jiri wa
Tika la chirang gomba gitapa yu sarwa rebe.
Yin dai.
Yeah, okay. So Khenpo says this is really true. He can really identify with this from direct experience. For instance, he remembers when he was a young boy and in his hometown, and he was he was a monk in the monastery, but his family's home was right next to the monastery. It was nearby. And when his family would lose a yak, then they would make offerings to the monastery and ask for prayers, prayers and practices so that they could find their yak. And Khenpo at the time, he would sort of feel he would become kind of worried about the yak, of his family's yak being lost, even though he was there practicing in the monastery. But then he went away, and it's actually been many years since he was staying in his homeland, and he never really ever thinks about the yak, whether all the yak are there, or whether one is missing or not. This doesn't even cross his mind.
So yeah, so lando de semra goya garis na jang ke sandor lamsang o tek semra huge.
Oh, and he said also, and of course, it wasn't just him who was affected like this. Really, this is a common experience, he thinks. And the main reason also why he would be worried was because if a yak goes missing, then they're really often, in danger, or often it can be because they were eaten by a wolf.
Oh, there. Tanita yin yang ying dong de ina dani dong la jawa mangba jeba ina ya pinto chimbo yore sosorang ge su namsa yin la pinto doni khlunup la ya de chang ro yoris randong de yin doni ga ram ro yoro.
However, again, whatever the activity or whatever the situation, when one is motivated by the wish to benefit others, then whatever activities and as many activities that one is involved in becomes beneficial. It becomes a means to gather merit, to accumulate merit. And through this, one accomplishes the two benefits. One accomplishes the benefit of one's own self as well as the benefit of others.
Tanita Tonsin Sumbate, Lama Tamba Tine, Najar Pangte, Kayin Yams Langs. Tangaranzo Lama Gevishini Tamje Tang, Teni Yink, Lobdajik, Gigin Sunjute, Sosoki Hirap, can make sinking Chad Yori. Tenda yin zang da yina ya lama gebi hini soso dan lin to yu na yang teni soso ke sem ke ting la de ngajar ti shuk chimbo yu na teni lama gebi hini ke yung ting de jie ge yo ma re tenda yin zang soso ke ngajar pang de teni lama gebi hini ting ba yin na teni soso ke yung ting Lama give hini de yungting chung chung jing jing ba yin na yang. Teni soso ke de yungting de lang ba yin na. Teni per na nu jing nang de chok tik ba ma sa an de tik ba de sa de na. Nima jik la di nu de chok gang yung kar ba. Di na yin teni karsi lama give hini de gigin so yungting chung chung yin na yang. Teni soso ke yungti liin tanda chepaina teni tamatela soso rangni la teni yungti chimbo chin chaya tang teni soso jula nyam toba cheya tang teni soso kansong kwa la troya la soba tsama tela todo yubaris.
So then, number 3, it says, give up arrogance and practice in accordance with the instructions of your holy guru. So this is applicable both with respect to one's cherished spiritual teacher, one's lama or guru, and also with respect to one's teachers, even academic teachers or teachers in school. Those who give one the eye of wisdom, the eyes of wisdom. And so if one is spending a lot of time with one's spiritual teacher, if one has the circumstance to always be together with one's spiritual teacher, but then if deep down one feels some pride, with a sense of pride, then if that pride is present, then there won't be the ability to generate the enlightened qualities or to give rise to the enlightened qualities of the teacher in one's own mind stream. And so to avoid having any degree of pride or arrogance, and to always seek to learn, to pick up the qualities of one's teacher, even the smallest, the seemingly sort of small and insignificant qualities. Because even if one is only like adopting, small qualities, they become like drops of water in a bucket. Eventually, they accumulate. So little by little, small drops of water in a bucket end up eventually filling the entire bucket. One day it will be full. And so in the same way, when we take after our spiritual teachers, when we learn from them and follow their example and adopt even, the smallest of their qualities, eventually these build up and become the great causes that lead to the full fruition of liberation from the 3 realms of samsara and perfected awakening.
Tate tabu to tara ngadi chaja chimbo ngadi na yang tani tara lama gibi hini tinsor teke pinyong to so song ko yorwa teni tena yinzang kanta yang sosu jula nyamda topa chi che go yo na yang teni chama teni lama gibshi ni la ra le de yo ba tenda teni ha ko songa ina teni ta soso ke ta sosu jula nyamda topa chi che go ne zonde teni 산지 좀딘데 그 숨바 까 텔토도 요바레 되네 산지 좀딘데 그 까데 란르히 자나 라퉁킨지 미바이나 소수란톱게 학 고톱제데 데스 깔레 카보요레 참참 마란소 소소라 댐다오지 로 디바이나 하고 혼도 삼산도 요리데 리딩바링가 히하고 요리데 텔레팅 사와 자체와 테니 라마 게히니르틴 하고 주요바 인장 테니 텐데캅스 라마 게히니 팅고 송용 버짐센테레
So in the teachings of the Fivefold Path of Mahamudra, it is expressed how important it is to rely on one's spiritual teacher in order for real experience and realization to arise in one's mind stream. So if we wish to develop real experience, then we have to any experience and realization is due to the condition of relying upon a spiritual teacher. And so, both through direct blessing and transmission, and also through explanation. So to generate understanding with regard to the meaning of the Buddha's speech, for instance, it is through the explanation of our teachers that we really develop a deeper or profound understanding. In order to really manifest our full potential, we have to rely on spiritual teachers. For instance, when we read a book, we may read it and think, oh, wow, actually I understand this pretty well. I really have, some understanding here. But it isn't until one receives an explanation from one's spiritual teacher that then one feels one has really developed understanding. One's understanding really goes a lot deeper and becomes much more profound. And so in this way, it's so important to rely on the guidance of our spiritual teachers.
다동시 예바들이 투삼라 로장네 카피 마자와 시바 동토도 냥슬랑송 당아랑서 지르당 그 투바점 세바라야 핑 삼제 마차바 요바리 투바 띠목 투바 주제 띠목 마렉바 금바 세바시브 도미나 인리 테니 삼바게 띵람바 존데다 고 추게네로 인로도데 하고용 바트솔 핑 삼제 마차바 요리 이내양다 던라게 투삼제 야바데 테니 카게 파시야 잠 더저마송바 동그톤 소소라니게 간답주터 그톤에 냠슬링고 요리 송바래요 다 네갑서 니모 소소게 히에데 부추데 라브리나 소소라 데게 냠뇽 요부토니 히에타바이나 인라양 핀토 소소야 냠다 또바 공팔런로와 대 안당버와 대 따베 마종바이나야 다 닌카 니모 소소게 히에데바데 고모 만타나야 추추 잭잠 까마 숨주잠라 된 소소게 제 냠니 지지 탑송아이나 되니 진라 핀다네 ndhe jab rato palatini pintho yo ba tad tene sosorani layang tene tek ranking ki pintho yong yo baris
Kongta tese ya boko masong.
다 치가 같이서 고성대 받지 지저나 그런가 지자다
Gungta di nimo di ni dipena di rab dang dring nipo.
다 소소 그냥 가히 받대 문에는 소소
Ninka.
어레네 다 간달 소소 그냥 가 뭐를 이는 취해 받어서라 피운 삼제 맞아봐 요리스 대단냠들라 소소 개념이 지탐나 되네 텔레장 피운 채와 요리스 teni ta penanga ta we na tereng ning kha yin la chu hie de ba de teni ko to gong so so nang la pha lo ro du teni so so ken nang ni chu chu jek zam dang yang ma na ka ma sun je zang la de ko la sam no de stang ta ta so so ka sem la de se ma sem to la jar ne nyam ni ta ta go ya de kar chim bo res
So then number 4 says, do not just teach, train your mind through hearing, contemplation, and churning over the Dharma, and practice what you have learned. Generally speaking, the three hearing, study, and contemplation, the benefits of hearing or study are really extraordinarily vast. They're inconceivably vast. As is said, it is hearing that is through study. Study is like the lamp that clears away the darkness of ignorance. So it is through study that one really develops certainty. One really can gain a sense of real understanding and develop a sense of a great certainty or confidence in the Dharma. When one has developed or one has really engaged in a great deal of study and contemplation, and if one begins sharing what one knows or what one has learned with others by teaching, then the ideal situation is that whatever it is that one teaches to others, one actually also has experience through practice. One has gained experience through practice, and that is what it is that is shared. And as one teaches, so ideally, for instance, if one is teaching from the heart, even that very day, if one shares the Dharma, first of all, what one is sharing is that which one has a direct experience with for oneself. And then in that way, it ends up becoming a benefit to others, and it also ends up benefiting oneself, especially when one puts one's own teachings and advice into practice. So, for instance, if one is teaching during the day, then one would go home or one would go back to one's room and actually practice for whatever was taught during the day. One would practice at least for an hour or 30 minutes.
Toba ju la charne chawar tanyam se matawar yingmi tu nyam se lang so ta so so ge yang gom nyam ni jeba la tin ne so so la nyam nyong tang teni toba nyam toba sugar ba tenda che yong ba te yang ko pa che tanyam ra je la la ne ta tanyam zo du ko chỉ tức là số cái nhắm lý chỉ này ya compare mà tao mà chỉ này tất cả là trong ai na được cái mấy bài insan yên mỹ đó bé trong chỉ có cái sung bà đấy đàn đi cặp số cặp rồi ngài rằng số yang chỉ số là nhắm nhung chú nhắm lý chỉ bảo là nhắm nhung trình bày chỉ tất cả rồi đó tiếc chỉ cho hin đâu chỉ này chi tani halam te mambo yong ko yoro ta ti yen ta halam to ji ka ya nyam su nyung za nyam nyong ro ka ya che ya mi nang ro ji khan ne te yang che rek du yu sam ne ta ne ro ro te ta ba ma yin pa yin wa mi ba zu de ta kan ta zung ju yin ne tani nyam le nang ko re so
So then in number 5 says, when realization has arisen in the mind, do not be satisfied with it, and without being complacent, practice without distraction. So it can be the case that as one meditates or practice, there can be some small degree of experience or realization that is developed, and then one might think that is sufficient. One might be content with that, and is sort of no longer motivated to strive further. And if that is the response, then it prevents one's practice from deepening and progressing. So it isn't okay to have that attitude that through the experiencing a little bit of results, that then that is sufficient, that is to think that is enough, or to be satisfied and then become complacent. Instead, one should never feel satisfied. It is with Dharma practice, in that one should never feel that it is enough, that now one has done enough. But one should always strive and make effort day and night. And so if that kind of response arises, that one feels content with the little, with whatever practice one has done, then it generally indicates that actually what has arisen as experience and realization is really actually very minimal. And so to feel content, or as though that one has done one's job, then would really be a great deterrent on the path. And so one should always sustain the practice with great effort and diligence without becoming distracted.
Teni soso yang chi nyam nyong da tobar tanda la nyam nyong chimbu yu ba la tene teni chi tusam la soba tanda tola chi hyandong sung ya re tso la chi na chong da wo chi cham hyondro ya yong si ba re tege ma shor ba goji de karchim bore sunam zojite ta lapar de tara sunam sajite karchim bocha de yore drupa chung de chin la dunam lapar dang sumba na yin ke che soso ke drupa nyamni chi chung de chin du tela chamsa yang parche mangbu sonda wa je yore tela chin parche mangbu sonda wa yore teni tela parche te so pha do par se bala soso ke sunam la ra le de yudu teni shandong do ya re cha kora ji ya re de na yin ke gom ja ya de so chama teni soso ke sunam sa ya twin jin cha de yudu teni te karchim boris te so karchim boris.
So when one has a routine of daily practice, whether it's reciting, whether it's doing recitations, or practicing a particular sadhana, or so on, it's very important to sustain the continuity of that practice. Sometimes it can be the case that it becomes interrupted for one reason or another, but because we have to create the ongoing stream of merit, or accumulate merit in unbroken continuity, it's really important that we keep the regularity of those activities, that we really keep to a routine or a daily schedule when it comes to our Dharma activities or practice, because by practicing them, that becomes a really strong accumulation of merit. And so sometimes it can be, or it is said that for the practitioner who generates great merit, sometimes the obstacles become even stronger. So it can be the case that the more that one practices, then the stronger the obstacles that might arise. And so it is especially important in those cases to maintain the continuity of practice, because it is in maintaining the continuity of that practice that enough merit is generated to reverse, or to dispel those obstacles. So whether it is recitations, doing circumambulations, doing prostrations, mantra recitations, meditation, to maintain the regularity or the continuity of these Dharma practices is so important.
Alright, Tanita Trukpa Terindo Nyamli Jula Chine Chosun Denzel Majok Par Nyams Lang Song. Nandi Kapsu Soso Keta Sam Dripa Nyamli Jeba Latine, Teni Nyamta Toba Yuna Jie Yundu, Teni to So Yang Mamambon Dunzom Chisatan, Dra Chopak and Gonzin Rawajine, Teni Chi Kantaria Chinjitin Chubje La Sopa Drubji Lakcha Germa Sombar, Teni Soso Rani Kete Tahi Nyam Toba Yuba de, Teni Yardele Yarje Tane, Teni Nyamli Chigo Yuri song.
Gomta Kashi Che Song, Chatsanko Yumare.
Nge Labza Jong, Tara Trukpa Terwa, Trukpa Te, Nyamni Jula Chine, Sosoke Nyamni Nangwa Latine, Teni Sosola Nyamnyong Tang Tokba, Jigarwa Tenda Chine, Teni Sosoke Mamambo Ke Ngoti Dawaji Chine, Kantaran Goti Zudiche. Da Chezogolo, Soso Jictin Chubje Dribje and Rawaje, Tadala Piju Matang Wachene, Tinha Sosola, Nyamni Chepalatin, Nyam Topa Chiumbate, Nyamyonte, Yak Gomper Tango Gris, Nyamni Matu Nango Gris on
So then number 6 says, after achieving spiritual experience through meditation, to not enter into the life of community and carry on practice until you attain enlightenment. So it can be the case, for instance, if one spends a good deal of time practicing in retreat and experience and realization arises, but then one is pulled into living in a social life in community, and then this often then leads to pursuing the 8 worldly concerns. And so then one's experience and realization is is not developed further, but can be interrupted and even decline. And so it is really important that when practicing, when one has generated some results, some experience and realization, to guard against the 8 worldly concerns and to continue to practice in such a way that experience and realization that has arisen is nurtured and continues to increase and develop.
Ta dikantar che soso nyamni na wala tene yang soso la nyamnyong da tinwe jiendu tene tele timba ke yang che soso la chen kollo mandaw tanda jungse nda ten to son de to song ala pa chi da hi nyam to ba de che yin ngom ya ngom son da ji ji pa cha ten tele tene tene soso ke te ha nyam to ba de ya kompela ton ya tsabla soso yin la chen na nam yin jing la chen da da yong do ba ke nin kha yo zang ten da jong ri ma chong ba go gri song ri ma to ge yang soso la che nyam to ba che ji chan de zong de yin la chu ni de yin pin chu ni drop ma lo ba de ke song ko yo ma re wa de da song ko yo ma re wa.
And so if in dependence upon, generating some qualities of experience through practice, then one develops a following or a following of students gather. And if these activities end up causing one's experience to diminish, and instead of causing one's experience and realization to increase and grow further, develop, if it ends up becoming a cause to become distracted, if one becomes distracted, or if one loses one's focus through by becoming distracted, then it becomes an interruption to the development of experience and realization, and that is what is to be avoided. However, not to say that one shouldn't benefit others through having given rise to experience and realization. So that's not what is to be understood.
Ke lang hin tam je ne gosam pa mi la matang wa lapa som nyam sulang song ta kantar soso ke chamdu domba ne zonte teni sangha ga domba part teni lama give hin de ne wang dang minga mangbo shu de ke lang yawa ke domba dan tam se mangbo yore te to tamje kapkapsa hi yindo te domba da tamse la parche yong yore te kapsa teni nimpo tobi ye la so bala tene hyaba chi ya te karchimbo cha de yore te cham yang to che so pa mi bo wangke yang na mahi ba da ha ma o bo wangke yang jun da non chor chon do ga da yong ku yore den da en zang da zo tham che la teni na mi ta pa mi ba si ba de gang tar che nan chong da wo thon chong da wo da hira che zo ko karchin ma chi ba te ta ba ma yin par karchin don chin de zen ne teni nyam cha song a na hya ba ba ya nyam cha ma zong bong hong de tu so so ke jin hi tin ne teni de so la ya bo song ya de so go gri song.
So then number 7 says, having promised and committed yourself, do not involve the 3 gates or the 3 doors in irreligious activities. Practice the 3 trainings. So rather than irreligious, we might say activities that are in contradiction to the Dharma. And so if having, throughout the entirety of the path, from having entered the path of Dharma practice through the vows of refuge, all the way up through the various levels of secret mantra, having received many empowerments, having taken many empowerments, received many pith instructions, holding many vows and commitments or samayas, sometimes there can be obstacles or adverse conditions that cause our vows and commitments to deteriorate. So if that has occurred, then we must confess them and purify them through the four powers, through the antidotal practice of the four powers. Sometimes whatever, even if there isn't something that can be directly identified as a downfall, whatever we may have done knowing or unknowingly, whatever we may have done through ignorance and heedlessness or a lack of mindfulness, then we confess and purify all faults and mistakes, whatever may have been accrued. And so all of these then are purified, or we are corrected through the confession and purification of the four powers. So it's very important to regularly confess any downfalls and engage in the purification practices, and also to avoid engaging in downfalls or causing vows and commitments to deteriorate by always holding mindful awareness, by really keeping a vigilant commitment to the practice of mindful awareness.
Ta te tabuk toni jirtang ke ngarancho dom ba zondu dom shibate tani semcher song yung ko ba la ko yori song yung ko ba la ganda ko ri shubaina sem mege to pa tang namien ke to pa tang sambang nimba la so ba tanda ke to pa le song de tani kantar che sem la tin shi tin wa tang 잠지 요바다 잠닝지 장적 셈 요바당 데니 텔레틴데 데니 임핑게 삼노데 소소줄라 네바당 데니 소소그 임핑 드바시발라양 데니 예담 켄틀레라레 바 인자 데니 예담 걸라곰 라지 지렘라 소바 곰 어때다 비치네 데니 그 따라 인도 지야당 내가 나이게 데니 소소게 양 단달라 탄다다 탐제장 제 유어스로 그거는 란신트 드랍데바 dim drop taba mai ba melon ng zungi taba teni teang pateng sarun ro ba na nangkha taba number mato par yin ba te taba ngang la ya ne teni chaja chimbo ke je tab de kandar te taba ngang la jo ne teni te taba ton so so ke sa ya ba ke ge za ba gang yin jang teni hua zambo ke je de hua zambo ton teni yin teni ngwa chi ba te ta chungwa na kantar thun che ke nam na cha cha chi mo nga ding ke nyam ni cha chang ba ro to ko yo ba yin chang o ta te teni te kar chim bo cha de yo ba ris
So when we speak of vows or commitments, the word in Tibetan is domba, and dom, or which comes from the word dam, which means like to kind of seal or protect. And so what this is referring to is the mind. The mind is the act of having a vow or a commitment is an act of protecting the mind, of really keeping protection over one's own mind, keeping protection so that the mind doesn't slip into non-virtue, so that the mind doesn't get hijacked by non-virtuous thoughts and intentions, so that the mind doesn't slip out to distraction, so we are protecting from the negative thoughts and intentions, and the actions of body and speech that may follow. And so the way to best protect the mind through these commitments is by maintaining mindful awareness. So as long as mindful awareness is present, then the mind is protected. And in addition, or in conjunction with the qualities or the mind states of love and compassion. And so as long as there is mindful awareness and one has placed one's mind within a state or in a mode of abiding which is pervaded by the wish to benefit others. So through this, and then in order to be able to benefit, to bring about benefit to others through one's actions in such a way that the attainments, it becomes kind of a natural or spontaneous arising of attainments that benefit others. This happens through the enlightened activity of the Yidam deity. So meditating on the Yidam deity by practicing the generation stage, motivated by the intention or the wish to benefit others, and meditating on the deity in such a way that we don't view the deity as having some true or existence or substantial nature, but we see them or we experience the deity as empty yet clearly appearing, no more like a reflection in a mirror, and abiding within that, and then within that, the mind being vast like space, not becoming involved in ordinary discursive processes, the ordinary discursive processes of mind, without the proliferation of discursive thought, then sealing with the state of Mahamudra, and dedicating the virtues, whatever roots of virtue that have been accumulated through pure dedication. Then in this way, in a single session, one practices the completion of the fivefold path, or the entirety of the fivefold path is present. So this is a very important way to practice. This is an important practice.
Oh, thank you. May every being ailing with the disease be freed at once from every malady. May all the sickness that afflicts the living be instantly and permanently healed. O sumjin ba jenya ba nyurda nela tajer jen rowa nena malab taden yowa me ba yo pama zunjen damje dedan danger jen ngro tamje tada donwar chanjo zombai ganda zajo ba dedai gunje molan ba yo chanjo zunjo rambo je maje banan chijer Jiba nyamba meba ye gongda gongda bewa yo. Thank you very much, everybody.